is a relatively, by Baba Basra standards, it's a long blot. But a lot of it will be familiar to you. So 2 lines from the bottom on Kuf Chav Beis Amid Beis. Torah Rabbanan, Losses Le Pishnayim. The Torah says that you give a Bechor double. And the context in which the Torah says this is Kies Bechor ben Hasnua Yakir Losses Le Pishnayim B'chol Hashim Matzalei. If someone has the way the Torah says it, if someone has a son, one who is beloved and one who is hated, but the Bechor is the one that's disliked, you have to give him double. So Zak the Gemara, what does that mean? Pishnayim ke'echad? Does that mean he gets double? Meaning if there's 10 sons, you divide into 11 portions, and he gets 2, and the other 9 each get 1. So what do you say if there's 11 sons? He gets 5.5, and the other 10 sons divide up 5.5. Everything, whatever. It doesn't make it really. I don't know why I'm saying 5.5. Whatever the estate is, you divide it. He gets double. He gets 2/3 of what everyone else has. I should say, let's say the estate is consisted of $900,000, he will get double what everyone else gets. He gets $600,000, and everyone else gets $300,000 to divide amongst them, no matter how many they are. You heard this? Are you a Bechor? Oh, well, this would have been, to me, this is a very exciting proposition. I'm a Bechor. It says, we're on Kuf Chav Beis on the base and the bottom. So the Gemara is asking the question, does a Bechor get an extra portion over everyone else? So let's say it's $900,000. So let's say he has 8 brothers, or he has 7 brothers. So he would get 200,000, and every other brother would get 100,000. So you get double portion. Or do you say, let's say it's 900,000 with 7 brothers, he gets double the portion of everyone else. It means if it's 900,000, he gets 600,000, everyone else shares 300,000. Dr. Gemara, whether he divides with 1 or he divides with 5, just like if he divided with 1, he only had 1 brother, he would get 2 and his brother would get 1. He gets 1 extra portion against the other 5. If there was only 1 other brother and he's getting double what that brother did, so he's getting 2/3. He gets 2 portions from all of the nechasim, meaning 2/3. So Gemara is going to bring a bunch of psukim as a raya that it goes the way that we're familiar with, that he gets a double portion. Not that he gets 2/3 of everything, but rather he gets double of any other individual brother, but he gets the same as every brother plus 1 portion extra. Which it's a little bit hard to see how you see the drasha. So the pasuk says, on the day that the father will give the Yerush to his son, he can't decide to give to the son that he likes instead of giving to the Bechor. But since the Torah says Hanchiloi, so we darshan that to mean, doesn't have to say this, it's going to say in a minute. The Torah says, the way the Rashbam says it, the Torah already said, so what does it have to say that again, that he has to give to the Bechor? So he says from the extra pasuk that he should, it's to tell you that he shouldn't take double from all the nechasim, but rather that he should only take hanchiloi like the brother, like the other brother.
Double of whatever.
A double portion, not 2/3 of everything. Yeah. So because of this drasha, it tells you not like the second idea, that the second proposal that we had said, that he gets 2/3, but rather he gets a double portion. And another pasuk that supports this, Ubnei Ruvain B'char Yisrael. The Ruvain was the B'char of Yaakov Avinu, Hu HaB'char, and he was the B'char. This is a pasuk in, I think, in Divrei Hayamim. And there's still the pasuk in the Divrei when he switched around the beds, when Yaakov came back from the Sada and he bought for the Dudayim, for the flowers, Nasna b'chai Raisai l'bnei Yosef ben Yisrael. Therefore, the B'char, because of what Reuven did wrong, the B'char was given to Yosef, the son of Yisrael, of Yaakov. But not to take away the yichus of the B'char. Reuven is still the B'char, he's still the oldest, but Yosef gets the benefits of the B'chara, that he gets double. So, as the Gemara is going to show, when the Torah said the Gabi Yosef got double, it's going to take a long time for the Gemara to get to it, but Yosef, how did he get double? He got that Ephraim and Menashe got each treated as a shevet, which is an extra portion. It's not, he didn't get 2/3 from his, he got a double portion. That his two sons, he got an extra son to get a portion. And we're another pasuk. Yehuda Gava v'Achav. Yehuda was the strongest of his brothers. L'noged b'menu, and he was the prince over them. But the B'chayra went to Yosef. So never B'chayra Yosef and never B'chayra l'Doris. So we said that Yosef got a B'chayra, and we also say that there's a B'char who gets double. Ma B'chayra amur Yosef pishnayim ke'echad, a B'chayra amur l'Doris pishnayim ke'echad. Just like by Yosef, it was an extra portion as opposed to 2/3, so too l'Doris. And another pasuk. That Yaakov said to Yosef that he gave him Shechem on top of his brothers, that he said he took from the Amori with his sword and with his bow. And the Gemara just digresses. Did he really take it with arms? Yaakov Avinu was not like Esav. He didn't get what he got because of what is it called again? When he said that I got it with my sword and my bow, he was referring to tefillah. In any case, we had all these different psukim. Why do we need so many psukim? What was the point of these psukim? So the first pasuk was maybe maybe that's coming to Delhi, the din of Rabbi Yechon and Brasa. We said there's an extra pasuk there that says it goes to the Bukhar. And Rabbi Yechon and Brasa has a shita that as long as someone is roy to get, we had brought this in the previous plot, as long as someone is roy to get Yerusha, the father has the option to designate that the Yerusha should go to that son instead of the other brothers. So maybe that's why the Torah doubled the pasuk that says that it goes to the Bukhar, to tell you that this is the option of the father, that he could decide which one of the brothers should get. So maybe that's what you need the pasuk for. So that's why Tashna b'nei Reuven b'char Yisrael, which we said, which was the long pasuk that ended Ki b'char b'chala Yitzuyav nitnu b'chayras l'bnei Yosef. V'chitema b'chayra b'charas loy gamrin. So we had wanted to say you learn out from Yosef, because we say just like it says b'chayra by Yosef, and it says Bechar for Ladiris, the din of that a Bechar gets extra. So we learn now from Yosef, just like Yosef gets double, so every Bechar gets double. But the Gemara says maybe you could tie that over there. It doesn't say Bechayra, it says Bechayra Sai. So maybe Yosef Bechar is different than the Bechar Ladiris. So Bechayra B'Mecharasa Lo Gaminon. Tashma, B'Bechayra Yosef. That's what we have the next pasuk that uses. We use the word Bechayra L'Gabi Yosef. Chitemi Yosef Gufe Ma'ida Pishnayim Ke'echadu. How do you know Yosef Taka got double? Tashma V'Anina Saitel Cham Shechem Echad Achar Alachecha. I'm giving you Shechem. He's not getting, which is clearly not. Shechem is not 2/3. Shechem is only one city. Maybe that which he gave Shechem is not the Bechayra, it's just a small thing. It's just an extra additional bonus. But how do you know that a Bechar gets a double portion? So ultimately it comes from the comparison to Yosef. And Yosef, we know, got that Ephraim and Menashe were both considered to be Shvatim, so that was his full extra portion, just like the other Shvatim. This is all should be pretty familiar if you remember the Rashis and Chumash. We're going to get to in a few weeks. Why did he take away the Bechar from Reuben and give it to Yosef? We just said from the pasuk that Reuven he changed around the sleeping place of his father. He switched it. He negotiated to switch it to his mother's room. So that's why he was punished. That explains why it was taken from Reuben, but why was it given to Yosef? So the Gemara answers, I'll give you a mashal. Someone who brought an orphan up in his house. Eventually that Yosem became wealthy. He said, I'm going to pay back to the person who brought me up, who supported me when I needed help. So that's why he gave it to Yosef. Because Yosef, when there was a Rav Ba'aretz, Yaakov went to Mitzrayim, and he moved in with Yosef, and Yosef then provided for the whole family. So this was Yaakov's paying him back by giving the Bechayra, taking it from Reuben and giving it to Yosef. Amalei, he said to him, how could that be? If he loved the Chat Reuben, Mahani Yosef. So why did that's an explanation of why he had to give something to Yosef. But that makes it sound like he only gave it to Yosef because Reuben did a chait and therefore it was available, so he gave it to Yosef. He should have been required to pay back Yosef, to show a karsa type to Yosef, regardless. But if not, he wouldn't have done anything for Yosef if Reuben wouldn't have done this chait. Rabbi Yonasan, your Rebbe, did not say that shot. The truth is that the Bechar was always supposed to come from Rachel. The Siv, Eila told us Yaakov Yosef. The pasuk says there's a little bit of a drasha. Torah says Eila told us Yaakov Yosef ben Shvas Rishana. So we darshan that it's coming to tell you that the Yosef was really the one who was supposed to be his inheritor. Elisha Kadmasa Leah Barachna. Leah, as the Rashbam explains, Barachna means with her tefillas, was able to preempt Yosef. And the Gemara is going to explain what Barachna is. But because of the tznius that Rachel demonstrated, the Rebbe Shalom returned it to her. So this was all pre-baked, meaning it wasn't really supposed to go to Reuben, it was really supposed to go to Yosef, but because of these incidents, it was switched around. My kadmasa Leah barachman. What does it mean that Leah was preempted, even though from the beginning, Rachel was really the one who was supposed to have the Bechira from her son, and Leah took it away. The Chsiv, the Eina Leah Rakas. The eyes of Leah were soft or worn out. My Rakas. What is Rakas? Ilema Rakas Mamash. If you say it means that she was Mamash unsightly because of her constant crying. If the Torah is so careful not to talk in a denigrating manner about a behemoth tmeya, the chsiv, instead of the Torah saying a behemoth tmeya, behemoth that's unclean, it says a behemoth that's not Torah. The Torah is very clear, very careful not to use a lashon that's denigrating. Can you imagine that it said about Leah that Leah rakas from crying? Doesn't mean that they were rakas, but it means aruchas. That means that she received a lot. What is Shemat Niseh aruchas? She received a lot that she had both Levi, who got the kahuna, and Yehuda came from her, who was the Malchus. Rav Amar, La'ilam Rakas Mamash. Rav disagrees. He says, no, it was Rakas. It wasn't critical of her. It was a praise for her that we all know. She heard people talking, Bnei Adam, people talking. Rivka has two sons, and Lavan, her brother, has two daughters. The older son, Esav, or the older daughter, Leah, will go to the older son, Esav, and the younger daughter, Rachel, will go to the younger son, Yaakov. And she went and asked, so this, my future husband, what is he like? Ishurahu, Milastam Brias. And she heard that he was Esav. He was someone who was a thief. She asked what the younger son like. She figured, listen, if I have to be, maybe the other brother's the same way, so I don't have to be so upset about it. It doesn't make a difference. They said, Ish time no, he's a good person who sits and learns. And she cried, and she cried until her eyelashes fell out. The Besham saw that Leah was hated. My snua. What does it mean, snua? Elaim is snua mamash. It means she was disliked. After begnus behemoth me'eloi diber akasav, begnus sadikim diber akasav, that we wouldn't talk like that. The Besham saw that Leah hated the actions of Asa. So it was a shvach to Leah. So the Ein Rakas was a shvach that she was upset about being designated for Asa. And the snua meant that she herself was saying the actions of Asa. B'yiftach es rachma. And therefore the Rebbeinu Shalom had rachmanis on her and allowed her to have the first child. So that's why Leah, the Rachma, with her tefillas, was Zeicha, in spite of the fact that really, Alpia Emes, Rachel was the one who was supposed to marry Yaakov and have a Bechar for him. Because of Leah's tefillas, she was Zeicha to preempt Rachel. Umay tznius haisa baba Rachel. What was the tznius of Rachel that it went back to her? The Chsiva Yagid Yaakov Rachel ki achi aviyahu. Ben Rivkahu. The Torah says that Yaakov told Rachel that he is her father's brother, and that he's the son of Rivka. In fact, the Marmalay Ben Achais Aviyahu. He wasn't. Yaakov wasn't Lavan's brother. He was Rivka's son. Rivka was Lavan's brother. He was his nephew. El Amalah Minsavasli. He said, "I want to marry you." Amalei in. She said, yes, I would like to marry you. Miu Abba Ramah, he who. My father is a liar. Well, you're not going to get away with it with him. He's gonna cheat you. Amala Myra Musa. He said, how's he going to cheat me? Amalei Isli Achsa the Kashishamina. I have a sister who's older than me. He's not going to allow you to marry me in front of her. He's going to trick you. He said, no, I'm his brother. I can handle him. I'm equal to him. I'm his brother as far as the deception. So this is what it meant when he said, I'm your father's brother. He didn't mean literal brother. He meant his brother, that I could handle his tricks. Amalei. She said to him, how can you engage in deception? That's how you're a tzaddik. The reason why I want to marry you is because of your good midas. This doesn't sound very nice. He said, yes. Im navar titbar, the pasuk says, if you'll be honest, I'll be honest. But if you're going to be twisty, if you're going to be deceptive, I'm going to match your fire with fire. I'm going to be equal deceptive. So she accepted it. Masalo Simonim, the famous, as we all know. So Rachel gave to Yaakov Simonim that he should recognize her, that Lavan will not be able to trick her. But when Lavan decided he's going to send Leah instead of Rachel to Yaakov, Savra Hashna Michsafa Achsoi. That now she said, you know what? Now my sister is going to be embarrassed. And she gave her the simon. Behind him, Leah. That in the morning, Yaakov saw that it was Leah that he had married. Sounds like until now it wasn't Leah. Because simon the Yaakov gave to Rachel, and then Rachel gave to Leah. Ad Hahishait. Yaakov did not recognize until the morning that it was Leah rather than Rachel. That is all, I assume, pretty familiar. Or maybe you didn't know all the details, but the general story was familiar. Abba Khalifa Kruya. Abba Khalifa Kruya asked Rav Chia Barav, B'chlolon atamoitzi shivim, b'pratan atamoitzi shivim chasarecha. We had brought down earlier about how Dina was born Ben Achaimis. Now we're going to talk about the Gemara that discusses how he arrived at that. And the Torah says that Yaakov said when he came to Mitzrayim, he came with Shivim Nafesh, then lists who it was. And if you count it all up, it's only 69. Amalei to Uma Haisa im Dina. He said Dina had a twin. That was the 70th. The S Dina Bita. The S is a reboy to tell you that Dina also had a twin, a brother. Elameata Tuma Haisa in Binyamin. If you say the S means that there was a twin, then Binyamin also had a twin. The S Binyamin Achiv Ben Imai. Yosef, when he was asking, when he's talking to the brothers, he said he saw Binyamin, his brother, the son of his mother, but it says V'es. So it says V'es, and it means that there was also a twin for him. Amar, Magoli is tuva haisibiyadi, v'atam avakash la'avda mimeni. So his Rebbe, the one who he had asked this question to, said, "You're trying to take my jewels, my pride from me." Meaning, he said, this teretz that I tried to tell you that Dina had a twin was not the right answer. I really have a much better teretz that I was withholding from you. And the Rashbam says, Margolis tuva, tam yoka be'enik margolis. I have a pshat that's as beautiful as valuable as a jewel. I didn't want to tell you. But really, it's not that he really didn't want to tell him. He had given him this other teretz to sharpen him, to see if he would respond properly and ask the question that he asked. So this is all part of his Socratic method, the pedagogical method to get him to not just ask a question, expect an answer. You have to think for yourself. So Hachi Amar Cham Bachanina. This is the teretz that we're familiar with. Zu Yocheved Shairasa B'derech Ledasa Ben Achamis. This is Yocheved, who was conceived on the way to Mitzrayim, and she was born as they entered Mitzrayim. Shenema Asher Yolda Oisel Levi b'Mitzrayim. Ledasa Mitzrayim v'Nerasa b'Mitzrayim. It says Yolda Levi b'Mitzrayim. That means only her lady was a Mitzrayim, but she was conceived beforehand, and she was born as they entered Mitzrayim. So that's why it said only 69, because she wasn't yet born until they actually entered Mitzrayim. It says that when Yosef was born, that's when Yaakov said, now it's time for me to go back to my father's house. My shnokis yalad Yosef. What's different that Yosef was born? Amalei, Ra Yaakov Avinu she'en zara shel Esav nimser ela biyad zara shel Yosef. Yaakov knew that the defeat of Esav, or the descendants of Esav, will only be effectuated through the descendants of Yosef. Shenema, v'haya beis Yaakov Eshu, beis Yosef lovahava, beis Yosef Esav lekash. Beis Yaakov is a fire, and beis Yosef is a flame, and beis Esav is like straw that can be burnt up by the flame. So that's why when he heard that when Yosef was born, then he was ready to go back to his father's house and face Esav. Esvei. Back to Gemara, is it true that only Yosef can defeat Esav? David attacked and defeated Amalek from the night until the following, the night of the following day, from one day till the night of the following day. And that's talking about David HaMelech. David HaMelech was a descendant of Yehuda, and he was able to defeat Amalek, who is the avatar of Esav. Amalek. So how could it be? We said that only Yosef defeats Esav. Amalek, da'akracha navi, la'akracha ksuvi. You only read navi, but you haven't learned ksuvim. D'chsev belechte al tzaklag naful of what was belechte al tzaklag? Forgot what that was. Yeah, when we went to tzaklag, naful of Mi Menashe, it fell on them from Menashe, Anna, V'yezavad, V'yadiel, V'chol, V'yezavad, V'elihu, V'tzalsi, Rosh Alof, Mashal, Menashe. That in addition to, there were others who also defeated Amalek, and they were from the Shevet of Menashe. Menashe is a descendant of Yosef. So that's how they were able to defeat Amalek. Masar Yosef, Mehem, Mibnei Shimon, Hochular Seir, Anashim Chomish Meis. People from Bnei Shimon. He's asked another question that where we see that it wasn't just Yosef that was able to feed Amalek, because Bnei Shimon went. They went to Har Seir, 500 men, Upaltel, Ben Arev, Rafia, Buzil, Ben Yeshai, Roisham, Viako, Sher Sapletel Amalek, and they were able to defeat the leftovers Amalek. The Yosham Aliyem Ezen. They remained there until now. Amar Bashila, Yishai Mibnei Menashe Asi. One of the people mentioned it, Bnei Yishai, the sons of Yishai. He was from, even though it says Bnei Shimon, but the leaders were the sons of Yishai were from Menashe. The Bnei Menashe, Chefer v'Yishai. The sons of Menashe included Chefer and Yishai. Tana Rabban, Habachar Noito Pishnayim. Bizroya ubelechayim ubekeva. The bechar who's a kayin. So a kayin gets from every animal that's shechted, he's entitled to a leg, and the l'chaim, which is the jaw, ubekeva, which is one of the inner organs. So the bechar gets double of these things. Ubemukdashin, and with in kachim that belong to the father. Ubeshrach sheshavku nechasam la'acham misaviyah. And what he gets also double in what increases, in what his father's estate increased before they divided up. He gets double of that. So we're going to go through each one of these things. Ketza, if his father left an animal that was either leased out in return for a share of the profits, or Maskaras, or was Stam rented out by someone else, or if it was Stam grazing in the fields. V'yolda b'char, and it had v'yolda, and it had a vlad, so there's a calf. B'char netel pishnayim. The b'char gets double, gets two portions from that calf. If the calf is worth $10, and there's 9 brothers, so he's going to get $2 worth of that calf, and the other brothers are each going to get 8. Avol banu bot and v'natu karim. If the brothers took the estate and they built houses with it, they invested it in an apartment building, or they grew vineyards, then he doesn't get pishnayim. So it means that which we said, that shvach sheshagu nechasim l'achar misa is only nechasim that accrued, that came from the estate automatically without any effort. But something that was built, the brothers worked to improve the estate, and therefore it profited and it got increased in value, that the Bechar doesn't get Pishnayim. That's something that came after the Yerusha. So that which we say that he gets double of the matnas kahuna if he's a kohen. Either asuli if the father had already received the matnas kahuna while he was alive, pshita. Why would it be any different than anything else that the father owned? Whether he got it as a matnas kahuna or he bought it in the store, what difference does it make? It belonged to the father. But if it didn't come to the father, meaning if it's something that the person had he had in mind, he was going to give it to the father, and after the father died, he decided, I'm going to give it to the Yerusha. Royu, then it's something that's a roya. We said a number of times that a bechar does not get beroy, he only gets bemuchzak. A bechar gets pishnayim only on things that are actually in the hands of the father, but something that a father potentially can get, but he hasn't yet gotten. There's no din that a bechar gets double. So if this is something that was first given to the Yerusha after the death of the father, that's something that was roy, and it shouldn't be double for the bechar. So we're talking about someone who was a friend of his father's, and he always gave the matnas kuna to the father. And we're talking about where he already shechted the animal while the father was alive, but he hadn't yet formally handed it over to him. And we are going according to the Shita that if there's a matnas kahuna, even if it wasn't actually separated, but if it was a situation where the person always gave it to one kayan, it's treated as if it already went to that kayan. So therefore, it's telling you the din that the son with the bechar gets pishnayim because it's as if it was already in the rishus of the father, even though it hadn't been given, because matnas shleihomu kamisha verbuda. Then we said mukdashin lavdi deu ninu. How could we say that the kachim that the father owns, the son gets double? Kachim don't belong to the father. If he was makdish something, then it belongs to the Bad Kabayis, it belongs to the Beis Hamikdash. The father doesn't own it. Why would the Bechar get double of something his father didn't own at all? So but Kachim Kalam. We're talking about Kachim Kalam, I'll leave it to Rabbi Yosef Glili, and this is the sheet of Rabbi Yosef Glili that comes up quite often. The Amar Mam and Bailam. He says Kachim Kalam is Mam and Bailam before the Kachim Kalam are Geshaftim. While the animal is still alive, it's still considered to be the property of the person who is makdish. The Tanya Mala Mal Bashem. If someone steals something from someone else, there's a din, and he lies about it. He makes a shvua. He has to pay a chaimish and a osham. The rabbis kachim kalam. Shehein mamen bailam divri Rabbi Yosef Glili. Rabbi Yosef Glili says that means if someone had someone's kachim kalam, and he made a shvua to deny that he had the other person kachim kalam, he's going to have to pay. He's going to have the din of of that he's gonna have to pay chaimish and asham for denying, because kachim kalam are considered to belong to the person before their shechita. They're considered to belong to the person who was makdash. Okay, we're gonna stop over here, and we'll start with the next topic tomorrow. I'm not certain what I have to think about what I'm going to do tomorrow. I might have to be on Zoom, or I might come here. I'll try to let you know later tonight. Okay.